Ugh, my head hurts. What's going on, YouTube? JT is reborn here, and welcome back to another edition of After the Movie. That's right. I actually went and saw a movie in theaters today, or technically yesterday. I'm recording this after midnight. But yes, finally, after all this time, it's like I haven't gone to the movies since February. The theaters in my state finally opened back up, and I immediately jumped at the opportunity. I put on my little mask, went to the IMAX, and I saw it. Christopher Nolan's Tenet. Now, this movie's been out kind of a month. It's been out sporadically throughout the world. Like, it's been out overseas for like a month and occasional locations across the United States. And now finally it is out in my state. So I guess I should just go ahead and give my impression on it. So I am a fan of Christopher Nolan. I love his Dark Knight trilogy. I thought Inception was great. Interstellar has some scenes that I liked. Dunkirk didn't really do it for me. There was really no character to kind of get behind. And now we are on to Tenet. Now, Tenet is an interesting movie because it's definitely his most complex movie he's ever done. I mean, I'm just kind of sitting there like the whole time, mostly just kind of confused as to what's happening. It's not a very easy plot, and things start to become more clearer as it goes onward in the film. But for a good chunk of the film, I was just sitting there kind of scratching my head, wondering, like, what the hell is going on? And that's kind of a bit of a gripe that I have with the movie. I mean, things I do really like. The score is really solid. The action sequences are spectacular. I mean, Chris Nolan is going big with this movie. This is the most expensive original film of all time. And he goes out there. Like, sequences are done kind of in reverse, backwards fighting. There's big practical sets, big explosions, big this, big that. It is a huge, huge movie. And there's some terrific action sequences, and it's very creative. It kind of deals with this thing called inversion, which is you kind of traveling through time, but things are done kind of backwards, and it's really, really confusing in trying to explain this whole thing. And I'm just sitting there in the theater like, okay, how is this working? And then when they kind of went back in time through a machine, like even I'm just trying to comprehend what I saw. But like I said, it's just one of those movies. It's kind of like a spy movie. There's some backwards in time stuff where there's characters who kind of go in the inversion world. Like, if you go back in time, basically you're kind of inverted, so you're kind of doing things in a backwards sensibilities, where everything's kind of the opposite, but you're still kind of affecting the present. Trying to describe it is just like it's kind of really hard to explain, and I'm sure like trying to pitch, like, even after watching it, I still don't understand how all of it works per se. But it was an entertaining movie. It is a bit long. The actors involved are fine. Like, you have Robert Pattinson, who's kind of the more charismatic one, and you have John David Washington, who's the son of Denzel Washington. That's the first thing I've seen him in. He's pretty good as an actor. He does the action sequences quite well. I just think with this film, what would have made it better for me is if we were kind of slowly introduced to this world, because like I said, there's so much going on in this movie that for half the movie I didn't really understand kind of what the plot was. I mean, things kind of became a bit clearer by the end. They have to kind of find these different pieces to like this device of sorts that's going to somehow end the world because it's triggered to someone's dead man switch, because inversion and current version and all that's going to collide and just blow everything up, I guess. That's just, even me trying that's the simplest way I can describe what's happening in this movie. But a kind of a weak point for this film, which I feel like Nolan did better with some of his other movies, I think, is kind of the characters per se. There's really like there's not much in terms of development. It's kind of just is the mission per se. And what I really liked about Nolan's other films is he had a lot of these really well done, fleshed out characters. Whereas in here, it's kind of lacking. Like, Robert Pattinson's just kind of there, although I have some theories as to who he could be. John David Washington is just the protagonist. He's just kind of a man on a mission. There's no real journey or arc for this character. It's kind of just, I gotta save the world, and that's kind of about it per se. And again, with all this talk, like, it's so freaking complicated or complex with some of the stuff that it's kind of hard to figure out things. And I think things would have kind of worked better for this movie if it had gone a little bit more simple. Like, you don't have to fully dumb it down, but I just think with all the stuff going on in this movie that, like, general audiences are going to be kind of confused as to what's happening. I know Chris Nolan is very, like, he has all these things broken down. He spends an awfully long time planning things, getting very articulate. But sometimes, but like, I understand from his point of view, you can understand the world because it's his world that he's creating. He knows the ins and outs of it and every little detail. But if you're kind of bringing the audience in, you kind of should explain things just a little bit more, make it a little bit more digestible for other people. Like, that's kind of where I'm at here. It's like me walking into a classroom for the first time and they're already like on chapter 5 and I'm just beginning at chapter 1, if that makes any sense. I mean, Inception was another film that has some interesting concepts there, but like I could follow it pretty simply. They have these devices that allow to go in people's dreams. There's Dom Cobb, and I understand where he was as a character and why he was doing these things pretty simply. Um, I can understand to steal. They were going to try and steal information, and the other thing is to plant an idea so somebody could, break up a company or something like that. That I could easily follow. This one, it takes a really long time to really kind of grasp what the concept of this film kind of is about. But on a technical sense, this is very, very well done. Although there are some, I guess, in terms of technical issues, Nolan kind of has had this issue a little bit with sound in his movies recently. It's like it's so freaking loud at times that like the audio kind of becomes muffled and you can't really tell what's going on per se. Like for instance, like early in the film, it's like it's really, really, really loud. That like it's a pretty cool action sequence when things are kind of reversing in time. Like I said, action wise, very elaborate. This thing, you haven't really seen anything like this before, with the whole like inversion, going backwards in time, fighting backwards. And I thought that was really cool and creative. And then when we kind of find out later on in the film that they're going like me this way, and then it kind of goes this way, and then it kind of all circles back together. I thought that was a really cool reveal. I'm like, oh, and it makes you kind of see things from a different perspective. I kind of feel like that's with this movie. Like, it's one of those movies that you kind of requires like multiple viewings to kind of really grasp things. It's kind of a lot to digest on the first try. And at first impressions, I definitely did enjoy this movie, and I do recommend it. It's not my favorite Nolan film. I just feel like it is a little bit, I guess I should say, maybe a little too complex. Like, I think it would have been better if they had, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Digested a little bit. No, that's not the word. If they would have made it simplified it a little bit more, I think that would have helped things. Because we're kind of just thrown into this world that we've never been introduced before. It's not based on a property or anything. So you're trying to figure things out, and like all these characters, like, okay, so you can kind of catch a bullet in inversion, but like I could understand certain aspects of that, and then other aspects I really couldn't understand per se. Again, it gets really tricky and kind of hard to like work through it all, but like I said, it is a lot to digest, but I definitely did enjoy it. And it just in general, it felt really good to go to the movies. I'm glad Nolan like really still cares about the theater experience, because a lot of theaters are kind of on the grasp of closing, like without anything to support their business models. They could close down and shut down permanently. I know Regal Cinemas was kind of doing something like that. I don't know if it's going to be permanently, but this pandemic has really screwed over the film industry. And I'm really hoping that theaters will stay open. More people start to go back to it. We can pass through this COVID thing. Like, it wasn't so bad wearing a mask. I was sitting there for like 3 hours. I had one of those little masks on. I went in there. The theater was pretty spotless. There wasn't even like crumbs on the floor. That's like how super clean they have to like make this happen. And again, like, they distance people out in that, so it's really not too bad, all things considered. I mean, I had a really nice seat. I had the recliner seats, I had the heated seats. And then when the credits started, I just felt really good being there, because I really missed going to the movie theaters. And what a way to go back with Christopher Nolan. So I am happy I saw this thing. I feel like it could have worked a little bit better in terms of like the character department, because I felt like the characters in this film, they weren't as well fleshed out as some of Nolan's other films. Like, you compare this to like, say, Bruce Wayne and like the Dark Knight trilogy. Like, I understood Bruce Wayne, I understand all the characters, the plot is engaging, but like I care more about those characters than I kind of do in this film, because it's kind of just more focusing on like the concept of like time and inversion. I feel like these characters are just kind of like pieces to kind of get the like explore those other ideas, like per se. Like we have John David Washington, he plays the protagonist, and he doesn't really have any other name outside of that. But again, he's not all that fleshed out as a character, and I feel like I kind of wanted to know more about this guy's story. He's just kind of a guy on a mission, kind of like a James Bond type of character. And in fact, this almost feels a lot like Nolan's kind of James Bond movie. But like it's not his best movie. It's definitely really elaborate, that's for sure. It's his most complex movie, at least in terms of what I've seen, and it is still good. I just kind of prefer some of his other work more, and I think, like I said, simplifying this movie a little bit more definitely would have helped it for me. And I'm sure a lot of people are kind of leaving this movie just a bit confused and kind of scratching their heads at certain points, but it definitely delivers on the spectacle. It definitely delivers on the action. The action's really unique and creative with the whole backwards forwards thing, and I love the fact that a lot of this was done practically. Nolan could pretty much do whatever the hell he wants as a filmmaker. Again, this was kind of a big risk, putting this movie back out because, well, it's a different market. It's kind of just the only film out there, and I think it's going to kind of be like one of those older type of films where it's like it was sporadically kind of released, and like over time it kind of made its money back. I don't know if this, I think this thing, by the time home video and that all hits, it will make its money back, but at the same time, it's just kind of like, I don't think it'll be a huge success, and it may kind of, I don't know if Nolan will be given like this type of opportunity. Well, I'm sure he will, considering what he's done in the past, but like he is actively trying to save cinema with this movie. He's like, this is a theater movie. It should be experienced on the big screen, really immersive action, really immersive this, really immersive that. And I respect that. I find that commendable. That still believes in the theater experience. I still love the theater experience. Like I said, it's my home away from home. I love going to the movies. I love just kind of just being in that environment, seeing something on the big screen. Yeah, it's great. I can watch something at home, but for certain movies, like I really want to experience those on the big screen. So I'm glad that this is at least out there. If you feel comfortable going out there, I definitely recommend checking this thing out. It's pretty much the only thing that's left out there in terms of the theaters. And there's about like 25, 30 people at my screening. And again, this was a matinee thing. This was on a Saturday. And it really is kind of the first weekend back, so people, I'm sure, are like, oh, theaters are going to start to open back up. And again, I better kind of go out there and see what's up. And so, yeah, I definitely recommend checking it out. I'm happy that I saw it. I'm happy to be going back to the movie theaters again because, like I said, it is my home away from home, and I really miss going. And I'm looking forward to seeing what comes out next. Was this my favorite film of the year? Not quite. But I did enjoy it, and I think in terms of an action spectacle, it's really done very well. And there's nothing wrong acting-wise per se, at least from my point of view. I just feel like it is a hard movie to kind of get into per se. Like, because like I said, it's definitely Nolan's most complex film he's written. So, yeah, I think that's all I have to say. So, if you've gotten the chance to see Tenet, let me know what you thought of it in the comments section down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Once again, thank you all so much for watching this video. Again, this is kind of just after the movie, kind of just collecting my thoughts and what I thought of the movie. I do have one theory, though. I guess this is spoiler territory. Robert Pattinson's character, I think he was the son grown up. Like I believe the character's name was Max, and that was his mom. John David Washington's character was kind of working with. I believe that was the mother, Kat. I think that was her name, but that's what I think. But again, I don't know. Maybe Nolan has potential ideas for sequels. Who knows? I'm getting kind of tired at this point. But anyways, if you've seen Tenet, let me know your thoughts on it in the comments section down below. I'd really appreciate it. Be sure to hit that bell for notifications, like this video for more content, subscribe, all that other fun stuff. I'm kind of tired right now. I think I'm going to try and upload this thing, get some sleep, and yeah, that's all I got to say. As always, thank you all so much for watching this video. Leave a like, subscribe, all that other stuff. I really appreciate it. As always, take care now. Bye-bye then, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace. Go check out Tenet. It's got some good stuff in it. Bye-bye.